This is the Incongruous channel. I'm Dr. Andy Yates, and Becoming a Motley Mongrel, with the subtitle Energy Is It, is the book I've just published on Amazon and Kindle. Links below. I'll repeat the title, Becoming a Motley Mongrel. So what's that about? Well, let me tell you, I had to open my heart and soul to write this book. I wrote it brutally honestly. There are some things at the start which are tragedies I went through. And the reason I put them out there is nothing to do with me. It's really just to give people an opportunity to experience what it's like going through those things. And there might be people who are going through similar things that, might gain from this and so on. I'm not saying I did it right. I made plenty of failures. I certainly did in my whole life. But that's how it starts. It looks at my life from between 1984 and 2019 with a specific focus on spiritual energy, the growth of open-mindedness. What I call the change from a grey man, which is what I was, an engineer, a military guy, blah, 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 grey. Boring, uninteresting. And then these tragedies came along and cracked that shell. So if you can imagine an egg with cracks in it and then light shining out, because that's basically visually what happened. And then I became a lot more open-minded. I became what I now call a motley mongrel. And if you want to know exactly what that is, buy the book. Links are below. Okay, you got it. So now, let's have a look at this. I traveled a lot, just to go through most of them, I suppose. Costa Rica, Peru, Guatemala, Belize, Mexico, lived in the United States for 21 years, Jamaica, the British Isles, of course, Europe, Morocco, Egypt, Malta, Cyprus, Hong Kong, China. There you go. But each one of these journeys had very much a spiritual component, often done for a spiritual purpose. For example, in Peru, we went to look at sacred ceremonies, sacred medicines. And of course, the medicines included sapo, nunu, mushrooms, and ayahuasca. And then, like in our basic life in Arizona, I spent a long time doing Native American sweats, with what I think is correctly called Pima Indian and Blackfoot traditions. Had training from a Lakota Sioux shaman, pseudo-shaman, whatever. All kinds of things in there. Just basically showing my growth into spirituality. And excuse the cough. Those of you who follow me will have known I had COVID-19, a bad bout, in April, the whole of April. So please excuse me. So anyway, that's the book. That's what it's all about. Now, in Amazon and Kindle, what I've done is I've put a list of the chapters in the description. And each chapter has a tiny little one-liner which explains what's in that chapter. So you can look at it and see exactly what it is that's listed there, and you'll be surprised. There's 26 chapters, multiple subjects, lots and lots of stuff. And then part 2 is this thing called Energy Is It, which is a theory I've come up with, just like a scientist will put forward a theory. And in that theory, I presented the idea that maybe there's some kind of energetic connection between spiritual things, paranormal, phenomena like that. And so that draws a line between, it's my dog, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, life after death, reincarnation, things like Reiki, whatever, but more things like the psychic things, tarot cards, whatever it is. All of that, just trying to draw a line between all of those things and suggest that maybe there's an energy field or an energy that links all those things together. The scientists just haven't found it yet. Okay, so that's what's in the book. Check it out. Amazon and Kindle. This is the short version, so those people who don't want to be on a video for a long time, there it is. Links are below. It's up to you. but I suggest you buy it because it's a fantastic thing, and it's not expensive either. Go for it. All right. So let's expand a little bit, shall we? Now, when I moved to the United States of America, I was an immigrant. And it gives you some idea of what it's like being an immigrant with the sword of Damocles of being extradited back to your home, you know, thrown out of the country, whatever, if you break the rules, or if they think you broke the rules. And of course, the legal system is fraught with false accusations and stuff like this. So you've got that hanging over your head anyway. So what I found was I needed to keep a really good track of dates. And being an ex-IT guy, or I was an IT guy at the time, I built a spreadsheet. And I started putting line items in the spreadsheet, you know, arrived in the United States, visa status, blah, 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 blah. So started putting all that together, and then we would go away places. So when you had to record those things, if you left the country, as far as immigration is concerned, it's very important you recorded those things. So I would put as a line item, you know, like the first Christmas we were there, I think, we went to Mexico, to Cancun. We did a diving course and stuff like this. The dates in and out of the country, very important. You could say, oh, well, they'll match that against your passport. I very much doubt they've got the time to bother with someone like me, but there's the possibility that could happen. So I made sure I recorded all those dates, which meant that I was also recording a lot of the courses I went on, the shamanic retreats, the learnings, the education, the visit with a guru, visit with a master, all of this stuff going into that spreadsheet. Now, in 2010, I was laid off from my job of 14 years in IT, so I had time to write a book, and that was my first book, Seeing is Believing, and you'll find that in Amazon, and with descriptions, all of that good stuff. So I then had this spreadsheet, and I had this urge to start collecting information for a second book. But this second book would come from a very personal, very honest and you know, facts stated with integrity perspective, to give people a real look into what it's like to experience the things I've done, my failures, my tragedies, my problems, but also the joy, the expansion, the open-mindedness I gained as it went along, right? So that's what it's about. So you came back to the UK in 2017, yes, and I got involved with a local radio station, Beetroot Radio, Rushton and the Nen Valley, brilliant radio station, fantastic people, love them to death, but I had this growing urge in me to write this book. And unfortunately, after 21 months of doing weekly shows, 2-hour shows, and they're all out there on my website, www.drandyyates.com, I had just had to say, I'm sorry, I've got to stop, because the time I'm using to create the shows is time I could be using to create my new book, my Opening of the Heart. And I think it would give such value to people that I really have to do it. And so I had to leave. It was really bad. And I'm not sure if they believe me, but that's really what it was about. And this book now is proof, because here it is. This is the reason I had to leave. But anyway, so then I started writing this book, and I had lots of bits of writing that I'd done. At one time, I was a security officer. Yeah, a mal cop. And it was an outdoor mal. So I used to, and it was in Arizona, so we're talking desert temperatures here. But I would go and sit in the corner of the mall, car parking duty, which you do nothing because you've got no authority to do anything. You just sit there and watch what's going on and report anything, the arrival of the police or something. Anyway, so I'd sit in the corner of the mall, and I had a digital recorder, right? A dictaphone, as used to be in the old days. And I used to record little bits of writing, and then these I then transferred into writing, or just kept them as audio files. And then these are the kind of things that went in to make up the book, you know? And so I put that all together, and that's the way it went from start to finish. Now, it was ready to publish at the beginning of 2020, but COVID was coming on, COVID-19, right? So in February, I thought, you know, I got it all prepared, front, back, what I'm going to put on the back, all that sort of stuff. And I decided in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic, it's probably not a good time to put something out this, because it does show the progression from involuntary tragedy and how that opened me up to another world. I would go back now, if I could, and change those things, because I lost people very, very dear to me. But it happens, you know, and you just have to push it to one side. You don't get rid of it, you just push it to one side. You've still got the love and the memories and all that kind of thing, and you get on with your life. But what I found was it had cracked that shell, that grey shell, and here I was expanding out and doing all these different things with a great deal of help from She Who Must Be Obeyed. And if you've listened to my shows and listened to my podcasts here, you'll know that she's a very important part of what I do, because she's a therapist healer herself. And in fact, her book on reality is actually the subject of one of these YouTube videos. So if you're interested and you want to question the ideas of what is reality, then you'll find that book. Go in there, there's the description and all the links that you need to go in and actually check out the book itself. Okay, so back to my book. All right, so I got to the point, then I got ill with COVID, took me out for at least a month. And then there were lots of downstream issues, a recurrent cough. I think the capacity of my lungs is reduced. But still, I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I can go out and walk 3 miles around the woods and the country parks around here with the doggies. It's absolutely wonderful. Life is good. Okay. And that's the reason I decided to publish it. Now, as I mentioned, there's a second part to it, part 2. And I just had this idea that, because I tried to keep the book kind of away from what was more theoretical and what was more what I actually practically experienced, you know, going on courses, meeting masters, gurus, shamans, etc. So what I decided to do was then actually write another book about that, but it turned out there wasn't that much meat to it, 50 pages. So I put it as part 2 of this book. So if you like, it's a bonus book that you get for free when you buy my book at the links below, Amazon and Kindle. You got it. All right. So this has been a joy in many ways to create. It's also been a cathartic process, because going through those things in the past and reliving them right down at the personal level was very, very challenging and very emotional. But I thought it was worthwhile, because I thought there might be some people who would gain from this kind of thing. And that is my honest reason for putting that out there. And my honest reason for the whole book is to give people a chance to look at different modalities, look at different healing things, look at different ideas on energy, make up your own mind. But here's a good place to start, because I cover a wide range of stuff. And mixed up in there is being an immigrant, moving from one country to another, stuff like this, issues with the dogs and the people and the luggage and the customs and on and on, right? So it's all in there. And I think it'll be a fun read. There are some funny bits in there. There are some serious bits in there. But overall, I think a balanced book. I'm sure you will enjoy it, and I hope learn from it, and it will help you on your path towards enlightenment and becoming an open-minded, colourful, motley mongrel. And if you want to know exactly what motley mongrel is, I'll say it again. Buy the book. You got it. All right. So that's it, I think. Links are below. Check them out. This is Dr. Andy Yates on the Incongruous channel. Please take care.